Hi everyone, I'm Simon from HomeSite, and today we're going to be taking these IKEA remotes, we're going to be configuring them in Home Assistant through configuration.yaml, and we're going to have a play with them in Node-RED as well. Let's go! Now this is the second part of this video. Part 1 took our IKEA remotes and it set them up into Home Assistant using Zigbee to MQTT with this IT'd CC2531 Zigbee dongle. If you haven't watched that part already or you're not quite there yet, click on the I at the top and you better go back and watch that one first, because this one we're going to be getting straight in with configuration.yaml. So this is our Zigbee to MQTT interface, and you can see I've got all my devices set up from before and I've renamed them, taking away the default name of the IEEE address. And so this one, for example, is called dim1. Now I'm assuming it's a dimmer, and then we can have a hold function on there, but it did come with my plug, actually, my plug top. So we'll see, it might just be on and off. So that's what we need to explore first to understand what it can do. Now, to edit the name, all you do is click on the little edit icon here and you can change that friendly name. And that's really important because when we look at the MQTT messages, it will use that friendly name instead of the IEEE code. So we're going to copy that. And I love Node-RED. I've run some Node-RED masterclasses. I am going to first of all explore what this can do using Node-RED MQTT in message and a little debug. So first of all, MQTT in, I'm going to drag that on, and while I'm at it I'm going to search for a debug and drag that one on as well and wire those two up. In my MQTT, my topic, I'm going to put Zigbee to MQTT / dim1, which I've copied in here. I'm going to call this dim1. And I'm not going to bother renaming that one because we know what that is, and I'm going to hit deploy. Now I'm going to change my debug already. I've got it set to current flow. So if you haven't used Node-RED before, you might want to go back to a previous video and find out about that one. So the masterclass number 1 will tell you all about how to set these up with debugs and all sorts of different types of nodes. So if we press the click now, we should get some things over here on the right hand side, which we have. So I've just clicked the on, so you would expect, yeah, click on is there. It gives you link quality, it tells you there's an update available, because that's update available is true. What are these other 3 messages then? So we've got no action, so that clears the action, I guess, on that one. So that's got action on, action blank, battery, click, blank. So that sort of clears it all down, I think. So let's get rid of that one and do an off, and we'd expect kind of the opposite action, off, click, off. Okay, pretty much similar. So I'm going to press and hold the on and see what we get. So we've got a brightness move up here, action rate 83, don't know what that means yet. Battery brightness up is the click. That's empty, and if I release, do we get some more messages? Let's do that for, oh, I think it did come through. Press and hold and release. There we go, we get 3 messages for a release as well, so we get brightness stop. Okay, so we've got brightness move up and a brightness stop, and the click is brightness stop there as well. Cool, so I'm going to clear that out and do the same for the down just to make sure that works as well. Press and hold and release, so we get 6 messages. First one, brightness move down, that one's pretty useless, we'll ignore that one, and that one as well, and we get brightness stop. Okay, so that's cool. So we know that we can do up and down. I wonder if it does double click. Nope, just the single click on or double click down. No, it also seems to have the debounce. So notice when I double click, it only comes up with those 3 messages as if we've done a single click. So it means there's a debounce timer, i.e. it's preventing a double click from being registered accidentally, for example. I've opened up File Editor, the add-in, which I use to edit my configuration.yaml. Now you could use that through Notepad if you want, and Samba Share. However you do it is absolutely fine. So we're going to add in, first of all, into our, assuming you've got a binary sensor header already, then that's fine. You can just add this next bit straight in. If you haven't got a binary sensor, colon, and then devices, then you'll need to add that in. So I have prepared it already. So I'm going to put in a hash for a comment and call this IKEA remotes. And then I'm going to paste in the bit that I've already done. So let's talk through this briefly. Platform MQTT, name, this is the update available. Zigbee to MQTT is the state topic /dim1, which we know about. The availability topic is this one here, Zigbee to MQTT bridge /state. Payload on is true and payload off is false, and we're using that value template. All you need to do is look at the description, and there will be a link to all of the configuration.yaml for you to paste in. And you can just simply change this bit here to whatever you've called the remote, and this bit here for the name. The next bit we're going to drag in is some bits into sensor. So that is the binary sensor, as you can see here. So I'm going to scroll right down. Now I've got a bunch of stuff in here. I have my sensor here. So you should need the sensor colon header, or domain it's really called. So I'm going to put here again hash IKEA remotes, just to keep it nice and tidy. So I'm going to paste in these. Now it's really important to make sure when you paste it in that it all aligns. So you can see where the little hyphen is. Now that says this is a new thing, this is the next thing. You can see where I've pasted it in, there's two little dots to the left of it, or two spaces. And next to this one where I've put it in, there's three. It's quite hard to see on the video, I imagine. But it needs to be the same so that you can see that the P of platform lines up with all the other text. It's not just a neatness thing. If you don't have it quite right, your configuration YAML will not work. So I've got in the following MQTT as the platform, dim tap, so that's going to look for the click. We could have it called click. Actually, click's probably a better name. So I'm going to change that to click. Similar sort of stuff, you've got the value templates. I'm using the toggle switch icon. I've got the battery level in there as well, so that's going to report as a percentage. And I've got the signal level. Again, that's going to report in at LQI, which is the way that that's measured. So I'm going to press save. I'm going to go to my configuration, down to server controls, check configuration, and restart. And press OK. Now while you're sitting and waiting, why not subscribe to make sure you don't miss out on any amazing videos. Oh, and give it a like as well. So my Home Assistant's rebooted, and I've remembered that the click action is deprecated, so it's been removed, so we don't use that anymore. If your device supports action, then use that one instead. That's much better. And so I've changed this to dim action, and you can see the JSON, the value _JSON.action. I've changed it from click to action there, and I've changed the name of it to dim1 action. So next I'm going to try it out in Node-RED just to make sure it's coming through. So I'm going to drag on an event state. I'm going to remove this wire this up to here, move that down there just for neatness, double click here. Now we should get sensor dot dim1 action. There it is. Now we could say leave this blank and press done. It should produce an on and an off. It's also producing the clear, the setting it to nothing. So we could then put a switch node in here and do different things with that. I'm going to press and hold and see what that does. Brightness move up, brightness stop, brightness move down, brightness stop. Exactly as we'd expect. So I've deployed that. I'm now going to put that switch to one side, and I'm going to take a look at this multi-function remote. This one's got a few more buttons. It's got an on off, dim up, dim down, and a left and a right. So let's see what that can do. So I'm just going to change this one. We have called this one multi1. So I'm just going to copy that, and instead of dim1 at the end of this MQTT in, I'm going to put multi1 in there. I'm going to keep the same payload, wire it up to that, deploy. Okay, so first of all, on off. Oops, I pressed that twice, I think. Let's just clear that once. So it's called action toggle. We get the battery, we get link state, normal stuff, update, false. What if we double click? We get 2 of them, so no debounce on this one by the looks of it. No, so we don't get a double click and we don't get a debounce. So what about arrow right? So it's called arrow right click. That's a good name for it. Arrow left click. Again, the action is the follow-up one is a clear. So this is the bit we're looking for. What about brightness? Brightness up and a clear. Brightness down. What about if we press and hold the toggle button, the on-off button? Do we get a hold? We get toggle hold on this one. So we can make that do something different. We don't get toggle hold release, we just get toggle underscore hold. That's cool. We can, ultimately we're going to take the action. They all seem to be coming into that action part anyway. And so we can explore that afterwards anyway. So this action is what we're looking for. So that's the configuration YAML we're going to create. And I guess all of the other buttons give you a hold as well. Arrow left hold, arrow right hold, brightness up hold, and brightness down hold, brightness down release. Okay, cool. So I'm going to put the configuration.yaml together. I'll put it in exactly the same way as I did last time, and I'll put it in the description, of course. So I've put those into my configuration.yaml. I've pressed save. And I'm going to come to my configuration, go to server controls, check configuration. I'm not going to hit restart this time. This time I'm going to use the reload manually configured MQTT entities. Now this didn't used to be there when I first started using Home Assistant, so I tend to go back to the full-on restart. I found that it works sometimes. A little while ago when I used to try it, I tend to just do a full restart because that always works. But let's try that one and see if that works. So we're going to go to I'm going to go to developer tools now, and I'm going to look for multi-one. So there we go, is my multi-one update available, and here's my action. So that says unknown at the moment. So in theory, if I press this, it did flash toggle really quick. It certainly set up the battery and the signal, and that looks pretty good to me. So let's chuck that into node red. Again, I'm going to just remove that one, put that one wire this into here, change this to sensor.multi1 underscore action, and deploy. Theory is that I should get a toggle. Brightness up, click, there we go, all those functions that we saw to start with. So the next one we're going to look at is, if I go back to my Zigbee to MQTT, we can look at this Rotary one. Now this one's really interesting, I think. I think it's a really smart looking sensor. It's got a nice smooth action. It's magnetic as well. I actually stick mine to my fridge and it controls the lights over the worktops. So if I go back to node red, I'm going to change this one. We don't need that anymore. I'm going to put my Rotary in there. Let's just tidy this up a bit and get rid of that. Move that up there. And I don't like it being called dim1 because it's not it. I'm just going to leave it like that. Now then, into my debug, clear. Right. So in theory, if I click it, and try not to turn it, because it's quite sensitive, really sensitive in fact. So I'm going to give it another go. I'm going to put it on the side and push it with a screwdriver. Gives out a lot of messages. So we get, when we click it, we get play underscore pause, because remember this, from IKEA's point of view, is to control the SYMFONISK speakers or SYMFONISK speakers. So we get action, play, pause. So that's our click essentially. What else do we get? We get all sorts of things. We get a brightness. Now, brightness 250. Okay. What else do we get? No action there. What if we double click? I'm going to click that first. What if we double click? We get skip forward. Cool. That's in our action. What if we triple click? We get skip backward. Again, remember, IKEA thinks this is for controlling sound. What if I get press and hold? So this is where it gets really interesting. Now when we turn it, I'm going to try and turn it a really small amount. We go back up to the top. We got a rotate right. And then we get the brightness. We've got a brightness of 250. And another rotate right, brightness of 250. Eventually at the bottom you'll get a rotate stop. And you get that as an action here somewhere as well. There you go, action, rotate, stop. Now if I clear all that out and spin it around the other way, notice I turned it quite a long way, you get brightness 84. So, and you can see it declining, 84 there. If I scroll up a bit more, 110, 170. So unlike the others, so it has a state. It's got a memory inside it that remembers what the brightness is. Now it does have a maximum if we turn it all the way up, and it just carries on going round and round, but it does hit a maximum of, well, that's got to 247, but I believe the maximum is 254. It's really, really sensitive. A tiny little amount. See, I've only managed to get it to 250 once, but I think 254 is full brightness. And it goes all the way down to 0, as you'd expect. A lot of messages, it pushes out a lot of MQTT information. There we go, we've got a brightness of 6. You can get it lower than that, but 6, that's pretty low. Now if you obviously had that brightness of 6 on a light, then again that's pretty dim. So, but you do have to factor that in, i.e. if you've used an automation to turn your light on to 80%, and then you try and control this, and it's set at 6, it's going to jump right the way down before it jumps right way up. Now you could make it relative somehow within some Node-RED automation. I don't find it that much of a problem. If I've got my lights at 80 and I want to turn it down, you just wind it down and it works okay. Sometimes you have to wind it up and down, but obviously there's no way of updating this from your MQTT message. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing now and sort out my configuration, the YAML coding, and then I'm going to paste it into my configuration.yaml file, do a save, and update my MQTT devices. So I've done exactly the same thing. I've created the configuration, put it into my config.yaml, and now it's to test it. I'm looking in developer tools, and you can see from these three here that when I do something, you saw the battery appear, the signal appear, and you saw hopefully it flash up like rotate stop like it does there. So in Node-RED I've already created a state change, and if I turn that, you'll see you get rotate right and rotate left, you get play pause, you get double click for skip forward, and triple click for skip backwards. Now then, we also have in developer tools, we haven't got brightness there though, because we've only put the default ones in, but actually that's really important I think for this Rotary tool, and that's why you would use this one rather than some of the others. So we need to create a configuration for that as well. So we're going to paste in this bit here. So we've got Rotary 1 brightness, I've changed the name, we're looking for exactly the same state topic. Now I've changed the icon to MDI brightness number 5. So if you search for MDI cheat sheet, you can find a myriad of different icons. Now these pretty much get brought into Home Assistant pretty quick. Now there's a new release out today, 117. So if there's any new ones that appear in here all the time, then wait to the next release and they're more than likely in there. So I'm going to use this one here, brightness 5, because that's the one I like. So if you highlight it, copy it, and come back into your file editor. Now when you paste it, you need to take out the hyphen and change that to a colon, like that. and then it's ready to go into your icon. So we can save that. We can come to our configuration, server controls, check configuration, and reload our MQTT entries. So in developer tools, we should now have sensor.rotary1_brightness. And if I turn this, it sets the value. So you can see that 242 there, and that's changing as I turn it down or turn it up. So in Node Red, we can see I've already set this up. So I've just got sensor.rotary1_brightness, and you can see this value coming out here into that message payload. Cool, right? Now that was a lot longer than I expected it to be. It takes quite a long time to configure these things, but once they're working, they work and they're absolutely brilliant. Now I've been using the Rotary one for quite a long time. Now I can play with these other ones and start to set up some cool flows within Node Red. Next, I'm going to have to do a part 3 because I still haven't added the plug top or the light bulb that I bought and showed you in part 1. So that one's going to come up really, really soon. So make sure you watch out for that one. Like this video, subscribe so you can see the next one. And thanks, I've been Simon from Homesite. See you next time.